Sure.
We always get a quick one in March.
Okay.
Okay, the work session for the 2025 work plan, Thursday, February 13th at 3:07. Council on Aging Commission, call to order. Before we start, let's pledge to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Gina Kutzman.
Here.
Rachel, excused absence, Ms. Guilfoyle.
That's it.
Okay, Jim Glendenning is here. William Sadler, no.
That's it.
Velda.
Here.
And Mark.
Here.
Zero.
And
Okay, well, the object of today's meeting is to begin our annual work plan year 2025. Some items we carry over from previous years, just to carry them on the books, because they're an ongoing concern. And then, as we develop our meeting, we will talk about things we want to talk about. Some things may say, well, this is a budget thing, or something we need to follow on, or a new initiative that we wish to carry on. So, having said that, just remind everybody, we have the handouts here that we have a appreciation dinner session for all council members and city council members and commissions and committees. And it's on the Kenai Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center over on the Spur Highway. And it's Monday, February the 24th at 5:30 to 9. And there'll be, I believe it's going to be like a taco bar. So bring your appetite. I don't recall the format we used last year, but would it be appropriate to just read the past goals that we had?
Yeah.
And then we can somebody carry forward and okay, I have a copy here from fiscal year 23. We were concerned about increasing transportation, assisted and unassisted, with a regular transportation schedule. This is now established and it's ongoing. Is that Kathy?
now, is that from the work plan?
This
or-
is from Department Goals.
Right, from, those are different from our work plan.
Is this right one?
Yes, that's different from the work plan.
You have a copy?
Well,
That's all I have.
all I have is last year's and they've been, so because I'm new, and I was just gonna read out and see what are some of it, we talked about having a volunteer training program and stuff. This was all listed on here.
It was, but if I can interrupt you, those are my department goals that I have for my department. I don't usually confer with Council on Aging on what those are. Those are.
Well, would it help me if I just read through and things that are training
Absolutely.
we can include, and if not. So the transportation, I believe that's inculcated in our regular routine. We're talking about education classes for seniors.
Mhm.
That's something we have regularly.
Mhm.
We have increased activity for our participants for targeting mind and body. And I believe we have a program for exercise out here.
Many folks, yeah.
And welcoming participants. The number for 23 was 50 new participants. Do we get that many new members every year?
Last year we got over 80.
Yeah. So this is something we abide by. And then we have, of course, a new member orientation program. And then a volunteer training program. That's something we have also.
That's something, I sent it to legal in October. And it was work that Tawny Eubank had done when she was the activity volunteer coordinator. Then COVID happened and everything changed. We're not, one of our vehicles was in a wreck. A lot of things changed on that. So the city is streamlining the volunteer program for all departments. Not every department has a volunteer. So today was the first day we got the volunteer application back from legal and our staff approved it. And then they're working on the volunteer handbook as well. So that's been a goal that's been sitting on the back burner until legal had a chance to go through with Christine, making sure that they don't want each department to have different criteria for volunteering. You know, our volunteers are based on what we have to have for our grants and things. So the volunteer thing is coming. It's just moved a little slower than
But it
anticipated.
won't necessarily be included in our work.
No, not this year.
And then training. Is that something that you just schedule, or is that something we have to follow?
Training as far
We
as,
talked about 2 training classes on current aging trends and safety related issues.
those are staff training.
Okay,
And they have, the city, because we're part of the Alaska Municipal League and we're under the insurance program, we have to have mandatory training as staff. But I would like our training, I add one to our staff for training that is understanding, not everybody who starts working here understands the aging process. And recognizing different things as far as that. I know, me too. So anyway, that's something that we would have.
all right, and then I haven't participated in the greenhouse, but that's.
Oh, that's,
It's
oh yeah,
drawer.
doing really, really well.
Okay, and then for our department goals, of course, we have the orientation program, we have the volunteer that we just talked about. And then market and promote a positive, active image of the senior center within the community. And I believe that's something that here, that was number 1, they say website. Yeah. So carrying forward then, it's on the city council's plate now is the issue of senior housing. Some ideas.
So my understanding, and being at the meeting the night that it was introduced, we have not had, this is our first Council on Aging get together since January 15th, which was when the memo from Council on Aging went to City Council. And so at that meeting, the memo talked about talked about the Council on Aging's desire for asking the council to look into continued more senior housing.
Sure.
So that's what the memo basically stated. And then it talked to, this could be done possibly through a study, and that could be added to the capital plan. And then Vice Mayor Maxted also talked on that as well. I spoke to it. The city manager spoke to it, different things. And so what they decided was that we knew that a feasibility study was 1,000, if not 300,000. And so the council agreed to put it on the capital plan for at least, it was fiscal year 27 or 28, that they would have it in the foreground there, so it would stay on their minds, that we would look for grants to pay for at least 200,000 of the feasibility study, which I think is a strong possibility, and the city would. So that right now, it's sitting on the capital projects for the next 5 years, that capital project plan, so it's in their purview. The issue with getting a feasibility study now and having that done is a feasibility study only lasts a particular period of time. So if we were to get a feasibility study done, say I find a grant for 200,000, city would put in 100,000, then it only specific period of time, I can't tell you what that period is, before you have to use it to build and go after funding. And right now, there is no funding. And so that may change in the next year or two. It'll be interesting what that looks like.
So the trigger point is when we say, here's what we want, and that triggers the time for the feasibility study.
I think that, I think the Bluff Erosion project would be mostly completed by then.
That's something we have to.
Yes, and it will, the backyard of the senior center and Vintage Point will look a lot. No, have more answers with that, but I was very optimistic that they listened to what the request was from Council on Aging. They were interested in talking about it. They know it's an issue. There's, if there's lots of time to discuss this, and I think at some point down the line, as it gets more into purview, it would warrant a work session with council to talk about, what does senior housing look like for here? Are we going to have low income housing or stay with middle to higher income housing, which is what we have now? So I think there's some unknowns, but at least we got it on the capital plan. And I think that's a good first step.
I think it's too discussion going. That's activities around here progressing more. There's strong rumors of a pipeline coming down here
Absolutely.
that'll turn our town upside down.
Yes.
We have to explode and turn around.
Yes.
So that's well played. Thank you.
I think it's a good, I appreciate Vice Mayor Maxted, I appreciate the commission and our city manager in getting this, so that he's hearing, people are hearing what the commission is saying, even though there's not money for it to be, and my understanding is that at least 100,000 would be paid for, and that funds are set aside for that. We just need a grant to pay for the other 200,000, and that was the recommendation.
Some ideas, go ahead, Kid.
I think we talked about this our last meeting. The third goal that we had last year, in researching topics about senior enrichment and volunteer. And I think we talked about, we actually met these goals, but then to move forward.
Right.
And do, carry out our plan. And I would suggest that might be an appropriate goal.
And you were interested in that also, weren't you?
Yes, yes.
That was, she mentioned in the meeting. I remember that.
I just have a suggestion, that identify intergenerational programs, which is a senior program, and provide volunteer opportunities for I think that was something that Barbara was. A volunteer.
Looking for opportunities for seniors to volunteer. Are you thinking of that in conjunction with this number, the research?
Right.
So that it would go hand in hand to letters to the schools, to the college. You've already drafted the letter, we got that approved through legal. And we would send that out.
Exactly.
And then, yes, okay.
Everybody actually identified programs.
Okay.
Yeah, there's research programs around the nation.
We did that.
Okay. And we filed and we presented.
Yeah, there is a report of.
Yes, pretty thick. Okay, so do you see that as goal number one?
I think so.
Okay. So the second, can I bring up the second
Sure,
goal?
you
The
bet.
second goal, I talked to you last month, is that noise bothering anybody?
No.
Velda, can you hear with that noise going on?
I can hear it.
Okay, so we talked about, Red has done, the work on this emergency grant, to establish, emergency training and operation guide for here and what that looks like. The state wants us to do that because the feds want the state to do that. So the state gave us the money to do that. We may be going after more funding. We could have asked for a generator for the senior center and we didn't know that. They didn't. So, anyway, so I would like Council on Aging, to it's gonna be a couple of months before Red does a presentation for you on this, what this all looks like, and to be a part of this, whether it's bringing it forward and then having your input on it, or I would like that as a goal too, if you,
That's something we
okay,
talked about.
because you will know, okay, when it comes to, the city already has a disaster plan in the event of an emergency plan for the city. It is not specific, it is not site specific for seniors. And that's what the state is asking for, site specific. So when we bring it forward, I think it's a good discussion to have and to get your input on what that looks like. And we will have that completed by June 30th. So I envision by May, late April, May, we would have it to come to you folks to talk about doing that. Can I put that as goal
Please do.
number 2?
Please do.
Okay.
That was-
Last year was the first year that I really dealt with this. And I think it would be really side by side, because I didn't really have an understanding of what you wanted, and I think that.
So I think you're right. I think it is, we didn't get collaboration
Right.
on, if Council on Aging is, here she is, sorry.
Hey, Rick.
Sure. Then I was just explaining, goal number 1, we're gonna continue with the research and do intergenerational. Goal number 2, the emergency plan that you're working on, site specific for the seniors. At some point, it's gotta be finished by June, so the funds have to be finished, so sometime summer then. Sometime summer, you would bring it forward to get their input on this and so we're gonna list that as goal number 2.
Okay.
And then developing what you will need from, because peer support and that is something that's important. You are basically the board. And we're not a board run agency, but we're basically, you're the board. So, we'll need that collaboration from you.
And if we know about it, then we can be little ambassadors too.
Absolutely. So do you want, that is 2 goals for this year. Do you see another goal for in the work plan?
Something about reaching out as they thought we're an advisory group, but looking at educating people in the community about maintaining really healthy lifestyles and how to live a healthy lifestyle as you advance in age, and maybe doing something with education, offering educational opportunities, or just better communication maybe. Or if people with simple things like doing stretches every day and avoiding diseases. Something like what inspired me was our Kennedy's appointment in HHS in the government, and he's some really good ideas. We have obese children, we have obese elderly people as well. But I mean, just looking at what is causing health problems among the population, and maybe as an advisory board, looking at areas that maybe the community should focus on and make health of the elderly.
We could get a Healthy Communities grant. Fortunately, this is Medicaid research and this is RFP for the state grant this year. So those are big whoppers for us. They take quite a bit of time. But AARP has a Healthy Communities grant. And even Rasmussen, that would utilize the seniors, say it would be the senior center, it would be given funds that the senior center could use for educational purposes. That we could bring in to discuss and talk. And I think it would be worth exploring that, as to have that as a goal. I want to be sure we can accomplish that at the end of the year. So what does that look like?
Can we break it into pieces?
Sure.
Something we can start on and then develop the program as we go, just like the school lesson plan, doesn't quit. And just a question, we have something that we can build on in that realm, right? Don't we have exercises over here?
Mhm.
Yeah, and being used to meeting, you can sit down and have a little campfire and talk about things. And that's a.
Have to utilize that entire room, and it's already halfway. And then we have our coffee time in here in the morning because we don't have room in there. We're already split it into 2, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And maybe.
Do we have to change the physical plan at all, what you're talking about, more floor or just how you organize?
There already, some of them are using the carpet.
That's okay.
The issue is the tables, not all of our tables are full. Tables out there, we just don't, I don't want to stack them on top of each other, we've got to protect those tables, so. I'm always options. We've split the class in 2, so we have a 9 a.m. and a 10 a.m. And then maybe it's an afternoon class. So.
It's like,
Yeah.
but that really is focused on fitness and health. And we might be able to have other ones like that throughout the year.
Sure. Just expand the
Right.
embellish the program we have.
So Barbara, can I ask a question? 'Cause this is a great idea. How do you see us starting with that?
I'm just thinking of ways to reach out other than trying to, bring people in a group setting is one solution, but you only reach, a very small percent of people that way. For the elderly population or the Asian population out there in the community that never come to the seniors. We're not just here for the people that we can kind of get in there, but I mean, we just have to look at the community in general.
So
So how would we reach out to them?
So reaching the seniors in our community, not just those who are active at the senior center,
Right, right.
okay?
Would there be other options in the community? Like, I know the bowling alley was open for a long time, but the city never did anything with that, I guess.
Well, the rec,
So,
Yeah. The rec center,
yeah.
I know that's great for after school to the high school.
Yeah.
They use that with it.
Here, they may go for exercise. Yeah. And then say that you might not have some classes there too, for reaching people that wouldn't come here.
And the pool was open, I don't know, are they still doing that? Opening up? For swimming? Yes.
So I don't know if they use the high school pool, but the
It was-
majority of the people that we take to the pool, we take to Nikiski.
Oh,
Because they have a lot of
Yeah.
walking lanes and they have the hot tub. Yes, it's just, more user friendly.
yeah, it's set up for them.
my kids go to the senior.
Just a general question, there's other organizations that have senior involvement. We would handle a program, or is there things we can collaborate, or is that add too much complexity to it?
Other organizations in Kenai have things for seniors.
I like the tribe over there, they have something, okay. You know, but forgive me not, when you looked after my mom over there, there was some exercise, wasn't there?
Yeah, they have their own program. I don't know that they're letting other entities collaborate with them.
And with their grants and.
Where is that?
all that.
They're the same grant funding that we are.
Really?
And we get NTS funding, they get adult day funding, it's through the same state
Okay.
grant.
So they have a standalone.
They are standalone. I think it would be wonderful. I know this senior center used to, the bell ringers, the line dancers, and they used to go from center to center and perform. And I think that got a lot of outreach for a long time. And then we hit COVID. And I don't know that everybody's ready to open their doors. I think it would be worth investing in. I mean, we're looking at new vehicles. That would definitely be a way for us to get out and do outreach. I think it's a valuable idea.
It was like the pool leagues I used to be here. And go on the same saloon, different places and meet new people and change the venue up a little bit. We can apply that same technique to us. Right?
So, just as a funny, one gentleman who lives in Soldotna, who would come over here, he would have lunch on his birthday lunch, and for special things, he comes over, but he keeps telling me, where's the pool table? And I said, well, you really don't wanna know where that pool table is. But it's in pieces, and how'd you get rid of the pool table? I say, cause you and two other guys were the only ones who ever used it. They played, they did, but we can have, we have social security in that room, we have, almost every table is taken on those days. We have Unical retirees who meet in that room. We use it for senior connection because we've outgrown this room. So we got rid of the pool table to make room, is what we did. So it is and you're right in the fact that I predict it will be interesting to see with our new, with our, whatever he's called, that, the turn the tide on health
on him.
And-
think it.
and
further
what-
ahead. Thank you for
Get the
saying
discussion.
much.
Yeah.
And funding, and where money is coming, is going for wellness rather than hospitalization and sickness.
Well, things like line dancing. So if we've had requests to get a line dance instructor. To have consistency, that's not a volunteer position. To have consistency to do it, you need to hire a line dance instructor. Whether you offer that to your clientele as a free service, that would be great. We used to pay a line dance instructor with borough funds. And then they moved out of the area and we just haven't had it. I think there's a whole group of new seniors who would be interested in that. But finding the person to teach it and making it worth their while to teach it, I think it would bring a lot of people in. I think, you know. I'd rather do that than lift weights or.
Yeah, if you just look through our publication, look at all the wonderful things that we have. Like we're talking about, education, all right, here's, something of the heart, it wouldn't hurt to review that. Something I'm sure that we would. That are just here, Stronger Together support group. That's something where caregivers get together and I've participated in that when I was looking at my mom. And these people, I know over in Soldado, they used to be down there. And we said, and that may open up opportunities for someone who's a caregiver, but the person they're caring for, take advantage or the alternative, they can come here. While the person's here. These are all things we discussed, it's just trying to get these little tag ideas and then bring it into a program.
We're developing, working with Adult Protective Services, the Kenai Police Department, the state troopers, the library, and the Attorney General's office to have a SCAM conference down here on the peninsula. We couldn't pull it together for February, but a scam. So meaning that what are the scams to look out for? How do you know? And if you get hit by one, basically, you would be shocked at how many people that we hear of. So things like that, so I talked with the library. The library sees a different group of seniors than we see. And so they have to open it to the general public because it's at the library. So we've talked about having 2 sessions, one at the library and then one here. And the Attorney General's office is wanting to be involved in it, and then KPD, so that each of them would take a different venue or a different area. And Adult Protective Services, who we have constant contact with, wants to do this. So we're looking to do that in March is too busy with March for Meals. We're in April. We're gonna have a joint session and invite the community. I hope we have 150 people come to this, but it is getting it, how do we get that word out to the average senior who lives here in Kenai? And that's it, the best way to do that is by mail and on Facebook. It also costs money.
How about radio announcements?
Radio announcements, that's a good idea. The city is paying for radio announcements because our newspaper is depleted so much that the city now has radio announcements out every week, and we as departments special occasions. Kayla will put out, they'll not only put the Council on Aging but they'll also put out blurbs on what we're doing for the month. And so we'll be working on March coming up real quickly. So that's a good idea. That's a good way to get
TV
information
would probably
out.
be too expensive to do that, but
Yeah.
yeah, the local. Radio is, AM radio is big with seniors, I think. What was them? Talk radio, AM radio.
Yeah, that's a great goal. It's just gonna be breaking that down.
Just discussion, I don't know if it's been our purview here or not, but talking about generator, standby generator would help do that. Then some just long-term storage shelves put in for us here.
We got a grant less than $1,000 from Alaska Food Network.
Food coalition.
And they offer $1,000 mini grants. And we have, we get the food boxes from the food bank every month for seniors. And they come in and we can't, per new regulation, they can't go on the ground anymore. We usually stuck them right around the corner in here in the game room. People have to come in and get them. So then we put them in, the dining room, but we're often rented in the dining room. And so moving those, how many boxes do we get, Len?
22.
22 boxes that weigh, 30 pounds, 25, 30 pounds piece. So we're buying a cart that will be solid enough that we can move it in different places. And then we're buying some shelving in the Parks and Rec building, in Parks and Rec's garage, we have a small part of that we pay for, that we keep our vans in the wintertime, and then we have a smaller section for storage. And we need to keep our storage off the floor because that's an old building and it leaks. So we're buying shelving for that in the building with the $900. So that's where that went.
So that's an inventory that we work from and then add back, and so it'll be a constant rotation.
Yes, yeah.
That's an excellent idea.
It is an excellent idea. But it was that with COVID fund and ARPA funding, I would spend 20,000 at the end of toward the end of the budget year to use up that ARPA funding and buy canned goods and frozen food goods, and that would carry us halfway through the next year. Well, that money's gone away. Not only has that money gone away, but the state's cut the grant. We're down. So it was what this is gonna look like. So we don't have, we will be prepared in case we're able to spend 10,000 on canned goods.
We have an emergency kit stuff that can go with that.
Yeah.
That'll be food, shelf stable food, so.
With this emergency grant that you got.
Preparedness program.
Yes, it will.
Source of money for that. Okay.
Out for another, they may open it up for more to go for this time. So people were asking they gave us specific limitations and people just asked for the moon and they got it. Oh, hey, you did fantastic with the short window of time you you did really good.
Awesome. And opens the door.
It does. So we have 3 work plan things that are working.
Is that- Yeah, that's
That's what we had last.
all I can remember. So, yeah, and then we'll have another meeting here in March or April. When do we have to submit this?
So, what? So March 13th is the next meeting. And so I would like to say, anybody who would like to help with that, I would like to get this work with you to get this in writing so that we can present it to Council on Aging meeting on March 13th. And so you can vote on those things. Does that sound like a good plan? And so the research one is just gonna be in following through, adding on to what went last year, and I think that would be good. The emergency plan approval, Red will give us jargon for what that's gonna look like. And then the lifestyles, it's gonna take some
Can you go back to that second one?
emergency.
Is the I didn't mean to interrupt you, go ahead and not look at that second one. I thought I wanted to add something to the second. Just go ahead.
Okay, emergency disaster plan. And
The
then,
disaster.
Yeah, and the healthy lifestyles. And, I could use some, I think, can we talk about that just a little bit more?
Yeah.
So we've talked about where we start with that.
I could come up with like a more, I could maybe, I would need to sit and think about it. But I'd like to write out a statement and maybe could,
Absolutely.
yeah, maybe write out a goal that, with objectives underneath it.
Yeah, perfect.
That would work.
That master's degree, good juice.
Maybe, educating, it would involve education and, participation in some way. I don't know how you would word it. I mean, it's our goal. Present it. Present it as a promoting
Through
the healthy lifestyle and developing programs that will achieve that goal of a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure,
Yeah.
that'd be a work in progress.
Yeah.
So we can do it next year.
that's good, yeah.
Just carry forward, because some things we carry forward.
Developing
because it's not
and present. That's what I was thinking about. Is that gonna be included that we go? If the system fails? For the senior,
It
the senior
won't be,
center. But the
it won't
senior
be
center.
in this emergency plan
Mhm.
that Red is working on.
And the emergency plan.
No, but it is. If we are ever designated as an emergency site in a disaster, because we're able to prepare food. We would need a generator to keep that going. That could put us in a column to be able to get grant funds for that. That would be.
That would be part of the disaster relief program that's out there now, right?
It would be part of, not the new disaster relief program, but it would be part of, more community-wide. You know, I think that it's, when
You
So
would be
I
a
don't know.
site to receive people and the disaster then you should.
well, it is, and we, of course, that would need to go through city council to see.
You invite them to lunch, it'll be okay.
Yeah, you do that. You do that. So
That generator also serves the residents?
You
Or
already
we
have
that two separate generators?
Yeah.
They're probably go separate systems, so they're not codependent.
generator for Vintage Point simply keeps the boiler. The boiler, is gas fired, that is a gas fired generator. So it also allows plugins on each floor that people could come out and plug their cell phone in. So, and
Is it emergency lighting?
it's emergency, it would generate the emergency lighting. The lighting is on backup anyway, so there's a period.
Separate batteries?
it's on its own backup period. We've been replacing those with LED every one that goes out 10 years. We've got almost all of them replaced. Just, we don't replace it. The LED lighting, I can't tell you, this is totally off topic. But it normally, this time of year, by the end of February, for Vintage Point, we've used about 56%, right about 55% of our utility money for the year. And now, because of the new boilers, we've used 37% of our utility money
What a huge
for the year, yeah.
We're gonna hear all about that at budget time.
Yes, I'm sure.
I hope so.
Yes,
In detail.
yes, I'm sure.
And this has been a warmer winter too.
Yes, it has been, we've saved money in plowing, we've spent a lot in sanding, as you can grow potatoes.
So this, based on our past history, then this is about
It is good.
three good items.
Yeah, I think so. I think that, from the senior center standpoint, from our staff standpoint, these are great goals. They're broad, they're, they help open the door to several things. Yes. Very happy.
Like some more discussion. That's good. And I think our cookie budget is okay. There's this one.
Sure. She's doing pretty good, but we don't have a lot of wiggle room at all. Stretch.
Discussion. Probably looking in the bird nap, but we
He's been saying that for a decade.
Yes,
So just-
that's okay. I got you. I want to see if you're awake or not. You know, there's potential for a pipeline coming out here. Katie bar the door. Happy days are here again, and just like Dukes of Hazzard everywhere. But there'd be certain impacts to our group, because the way it is now, people have a lot of people. Social culture, they bring their own family, but opportunity for us, that's something we could forecast just to see. And gonna bring more money to the town. There's more opportunity, more challenges, but just think about, you know, how we did it in the past. Well, we didn't have a flash pipeline, we didn't have a place like this. We're gonna, Collier's plan, we're gonna expand that, or we had to run up, we're gonna have the pipeline a couple of years ago. And some thoughts, you know, to help us prepare for that, and with it, this will be a great opportunity. Maybe just the volume of people coming in, potential victims.
Be interesting, you know, if a certain doctor were to ever retire, what would happen in that building?
It's been there so long.
I know, what would happen? I remember when it wasn't.
Zero, oh yeah.
Yeah, there's all kinds of.
I'm not putting any rumors out there. So, I got that.
Well, I see it once in a while in town, so I throw some banana peels
You
down.
bet. You go for it.
I'll tell him, he's my buddy, he'll laugh.
He's still, I think he's still on the airport commission, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, he probably would rather sell his practice. It's like,
Well, wait, so that pretty well covers it, and these are firm, there's nothing on the edge, is there? Everything's firm.
I think so. I think so. I am, if anybody would,
I'd be willing to.
I have more than three of you at a time, but, to start writing some of the plan up and everything else, I would love that.
She's good.
I'm good at typing.
He's good. at
Yes, and,
Okay.
I hope everybody can make it to this Monday. It's a week from Monday night. Just a training for all of the boards and commissions, and, they, I'm going. Let it
Yeah,
go.
I remember a couple years ago, we had interaction. Actually got one, it was one.
Yeah, it is. It is wonderful. It is, you get to see everybody else that's also volunteering for around the city that does their stuff too, so. Did anybody else have anything to add?
Just, you know, we're always we're talking about, you know, reaching out and getting what everybody. Something that's, you know, in your program and something you're all wanting to do. This is just a small thought, but if anybody rents an apartment over there, they should be active in our group, right? And we find that we can't let that a condition of renting. But recommend this, do we have good participation next door?
About 50%, I
Is
think,
that's not bad.
a little more.
50% from next door?
Well, remember, half of them are hermits.
Are we?
Hermits.
Oh, no, I know, I get that. I get that.
Half of them are hermits.
Over there.
Some of them are still working as well.
Right.
Okay, well, that's, yeah,
People are working
probably a
longer.
third of people. No,
Yeah,
maybe
still
not.
working.
Maybe there's an opportunity for them to help out. Side of their.
I am still amazed. I think having an open house for Vintage Point and the senior center, we haven't done it in a long time. I would say it's been a good 20 years.
We had one.
For the.
25th, we had it. But to have it to where we have a few people who open their apartments for people to see what their apartment looks like. They can come through the senior center. It's well staffed, so we can open it to the public. I am shocked at how many people still think we're a nursing home. They still think we're a nursing home. This is the big part of it. Oh, yeah, Heritage Place in the Kenai Senior Center in Kenai. I'm going, huh? How could you think that? And they just don't know. But we did a real public awareness. Velda she and Marge created a whole thing, a whole picture thing back in the sewing room, but in the craft room, but maybe time for that again. Maybe that's part of our healthy community.
That could be part of.
Yeah.
Communicating with the role of the seniors here. I'll work on some kind of statement, maybe you could look at it and work it into a third goal.
Perfect.
Is that what you're?
That sounds great. That's great, yeah.
I'll get it
Well,
to you.
Ken wrote the goals last year, but I would love more participation, more, if we say, you know what, we're not quite finished, let's have one more work session before we have our meeting next month or something, so, yeah. I want you guys to be excited about these as much as we are too, so. Council on Aging, for years, we've always had goals. Rachel would write them up on the little board up here. We had, and so then we decided, well, every commission needs to have goals. So now they just call them a work plan. And there's a little bit more to them.
Yeah, and so you explain the difference between work plan. And sometimes they blend a little bit, sometimes they don't.
That's a good question for the city clerk on the 24th. I would ask her that.
I'm sure
Well,
you should.
A work plan.
Work outside, and it did, like a couple of things we developed to complicate into our work plan. Our goals,
Right.
and so why not have more things work, because there's how many goals, half a dozen, or something. We can't do that for this, but we can
and the goals that we have in the budget, our department has in the budget,
Exactly.
are goals that we as employees are working on. So. But they should,
But yet, if we can, but we discuss them.
appreciate that.
Hey, I think we just blasted through our public comments. Henry, you have anything to say? You're part of the public. Actually, next time we have a meeting, I'm going to vote to suspend the rules and allow everybody present to speak.
Okay,
Okay?
I'm not supposed to.
Oh.
The clerk will get after me. I don't care, you know.
Yeah, this is. How.
Well, it,
Say,
I mean, my report won't be till next month because you're not having a regular meeting, but we did authorize purchase of 2 new vans. I don't know when the delivery date is or anything like that, but
it'll be sometime July, sometime around there. We don't have much time.
soon.
Yeah. I congratulate Eric and Lee, Works, on what they did. That I have never seen anything happen so quickly. That was just, they talked to us about what we wanted and they tried to give us more than we really needed. And at the time, and said, no, you know, we're good with this. And I think it's really fantastic.
Did you get a report?
I think it's going through Kendall. Yeah, it's going through Kendall. And there are 15 passengers because we may not need 15 passengers, but there's not a lot of price difference between the 12 and the 15 or the 8 and the 15 once you get the transits going. But I have asked for a higher roof because we do have some tall seniors and some people, their balance, if you get them bent over, that's not a good thing. And so it keeps it's more like a small bus. And Red and I will go after later this year. After a DOT grant for a small wheelchair vehicle that would replace our Subaru. It will hold one wheelchair in a minivan that would be for people who can't get up in the bus that we could take to the doctor. And if they need a wheelchair, and we'll go after that and try to get state funding for that. So, yeah. We learned this year how to do it. So
It's well, it's a moving target.
it's a continual. You gotta be looking out both all around your head for grants and ways to.
About a year ago, the Canarsie people were here presenting their plans for summer, this past summer. And I never heard any more about it. It's supposed to be a collaboration open to everybody in Kenai, their vessels. And it would include handicapped.
So can I ask, Mayor, he was at the work session with Canarsie? Did
Yeah,
that come up?
they're driving them around now. I saw one. On the-
They are driving?
Yeah.
Oh, but it was supposed to be open to the public, to the
I don't know what the routes are or how that works, but I believe that is the case because that's how the money came for it. That it's,
There could be a sign open.
so, you know, I don't know that. A lot of their vehicles were from, they've been in storage, probably not the right way for a long time that they received. And I think they had a lot of mechanical issues to deal with, so the fleet thought they had when they had it, so.
That's good. I'd like to see collaboration between all
Yeah.
of our city.
It sounded like a really solid plan, the way they presented it.
You know, and another thing too, if, you know, I real. But at that same meeting, that some of their other projects, but I wasn't aware of, was at the end, not at the end, Redoubt, but First Force Redoubt,
Yeah.
that corner, kind of near Woodland there, the Canarsie bought property there, in that area,
And whole
and
subdivision.
I,
Right down our street.
Fairly good sized parcel.
Right, straight
Pardon?
down
Doc
our street.
Hanson's property.
I think it's Doc Hanson's, although that wasn't brought up, but their goal is to build senior
Yeah.
housing in there. And it would be And, you know, they talked about it and I asked later, I said, so is this for everybody? Cause I didn't wanna, you know, and they said, yeah, it is. Because that's how it goes through, I wanna say it was HUD or some other federal thing and, yeah, no, you're nodding yes, I think you're saying.
5.6 million.
She said, that chair, she said, no, because of where the money came from, they for everybody. So it kind of fit some of the goals you had, even though it's not adding on to here. It's additional senior housing.
Yeah, just like the radio station, all things considered. Broken here, if someone has a broader view, let's do it.
It adds to it, but you know, I mean, that hasn't happened yet. That's what that's what their plan is.
Drilling and testing and stuff. I understand right now, that's what all the
Okay.
trailers are down there.
Okay.
Oh, is that what all that is? I was kind of wondering what those guys.
Yeah, the Woodland subdivision Facebook,
were.
let us know what's going on.
That's good.
It's all sand and depends on where the water table is. So it's-
Well, it's. So that'll help our understanding of the city. How we fit in, I guess.
There's additional housing, and this might be for lower income, kind of still down that same way down Readout, kind of where the city has donated property. They've requested some additional lots down there, so I expect to see that happening at some
Let's do
point.
that homework.
There you go, 'cause we're-
Okay, PHI.
We're sort of short.
Is that where-
Thing is, I'd like to hear from Kent about the flooding that you had near your house there. We had all that rain, we had like 3 inches, and it was scary. I went to all these different places, and I didn't go through it, and then they had it done, cleaned up, but how was your experience with that? If you don't mind me putting you on the spot.
Well, we're somewhat used to that because that lake develops every year.
Oh, every year, okay,
But it was just a lot higher this year.
yeah,
You can still drive through it. But obviously, we're not real enamored of it. But they did get it fixed. I mean, it was probably 2 blocks.
We're doing over by Sludge.
No, this
Are
is
you
on
talking about
off
that?
of Pine.
Oh,
And that-
because I in the woods had kids kayaking in
oh,
there.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure there were kids who have done this.
And then Toyon too over here, yeah, over here, where the block, there's another spot down there, near Mark Necessarity's house and
Yeah.
around, you know.
Drain system there is not adequate. Because like I say, in the summertime, it does sometimes flood. Just come on, work on, get the spears.
I sort of lost sleep over it, we had all that rain.
Yeah,
I was in Anchorage, I got down here and the next day, the wind was blowing 30 knots south and the temperature was dropping, it was 24 degrees. And we had people from the city crew, including Parks, with their hip boots out in, well, it wasn't just water, it was ice water, you know,
Yeah.
floating around out there with the pumps and all of that. We had back trucks taking water and then they were pumping it out and doing, you know, into the woods and the loaders. But
yeah.
it was miserable.
But
They
the
got
state
that.
crews are great. They really do take care of the streets. Or that's been our experience. You know.
That's good. I hadn't been down there when it's flooded, but I saw. But,
Just thinking about that.
any disaster,
Anybody who's a sister city after a snowstorm
Oh,
would make you very happy for a city.
oh, I totally agree.
Oh, yeah.
We have an address that we deliver to behind the college, which is in our area. So that goes, there's subdivision back there, and then there's a subdivision that goes way down by the river back there, behind the college. And we deliver to a lady back in there who delivery. And this year, one of our vehicles got stuck. Well, the borough, that's all contracted out for the borough. And this year, the mayor, Mayor Chicky was right on it. They were there shortly, but it was our crew
last year, here come the dump truck, sand that hill, so our Meals on Wheels van could get up the hill. I was so proud of you. Yes, that's our, you know, even though that was the only thing we had that could get our vehicle out of there. And they brought the dump truck and sanded it, and after this, the flooding and then the melting and everything else, we had it again. And, so,
We now have studs.
yeah, they put studs on the vehicles, so we could get in and out of
Conversations. That's how we look at it. You know, try to have separate observations and questions about the city, because even though we're getting more and more focused here, we're still part of the city. We're interested in what happens. Friends and neighbors. Some of us still drive around.
Kind of another thing, and there, we could always keep talking here, but, the president, one of the first things he did was he put on hold, veterans and whatnot. It was short-lived, but, didn't know that, but, you know, I called the city right away. Terry was out, but, at any rate, was concerned about our federal funding for the bluff project down here.
there. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a project and all that, but, and we've got rock made and all that, and that doesn't mean that they can't stop a contract, you know, but we've got assurances, for that grant, and multiple other grants that we've got, things that are up and going, that the federal is already allocated and set.
Oh, good.
Not done till it's done, but
Yeah,
it just, it gives me some, I can sleep better at night. Don't worry. There's a lot of rumors going around that this project was not gonna happen, all of that, so that's not the case.
I think he was planning on shutting everything down to see what was actually happening and what was worthwhile to keep going, because change in leadership, you always have that.
Hey, is that, that's it? We just had our public comments and, anything else to say? We have our stuff.
Thank you,
And
everyone.
there's still some cookies left, thank you, and, okay,
Or it's good, then maybe.
well, thanks, Andy.
Yeah, that's the list.
I think city council should have